Greetings, this is Griff Ruby with part 30 of my series Ecclesiology for Sedevacantists, based on Dogmatic Theology, Volume 2, Christ Church, by Msgr G. Van Noort. We now move over to a whole new chapter regarding the properties of the church. There are a number of different properties here, and some of them are a little bit less than obvious. A couple we've actually already talked about in the previous parts. Another we'll be talking about or starting here presently. And then, of course, there'll be the four marks, which are also properties of the church. But let us start with reading here on page 102. The church's properties are those qualities which flow from its very essence and are a necessary part of it. Authors differ somewhat in enumerating these properties, and some distinguish between properties and endowments. But the difference seems to concern method and terminology rather than the matter itself. 7 properties, then, can be listed: visibility, indestructibility, infallibility, unity, holiness, Catholicity, and apostolicity. Since visibility and indestructibility have already been considered, there remain for discussion only the last 5. So, in particular now, we'll be taking up the Church's infallibility. 1. Meaning of the term. The word infallibility itself indicates a necessary immunity from error. When one speaks of the Church's infallibility, one means that the Church can neither deceive nor be deceived in matters of faith and morals. It is a prerogative of the whole Church, but it belongs in one way to those who fulfill the office of teaching, and in another way to those who are taught. Hence the distinction between active infallibility, by which the Church's rulers are rendered immune from error when they teach, and passive infallibility, by which all of Christ's faithful are preserved from error in their beliefs. Passive infallibility depends on and is caused by active infallibility, for the faithful are kept free from error in religious matters only by loyally following their rulers. Consequently, it is limited by the same restrictions as is active infallibility, and it will therefore suffice to treat only of the latter. Active infallibility may be defined as follows: the privilege by which the teaching office of the Church, through the assistance of the Holy Spirit, is preserved immune from error when it defines a doctrine of faith or morals. The words "through the assistance of the Holy Spirit" indicate that this freedom from error is something derived. The word "when it defines a doctrine of faith or morals" limit this inerrancy to definite subject matter. Errors. Protestants. Protestants in general ascribe infallibility to no church, at least to no visible church. The Puseists were willing to grant it to some sort of ideal church made up of Roman Catholic, Greek, and Anglican communions. The historians asserted that infallibility, like all sacred power, had been principally and directly to the whole body of the faithful, but to rulers only as agents of that body. The Jansenists of Holland seem to follow the same opinion, since they demand for an infallible decree that delegates or representatives of the whole Church be gathered together for an ecumenical council, that these delegates agree that the doctrine belongs to the deposit of faith, and that it has always been accepted by the whole Church, and that their judgment be ratified universally by the Church throughout the world. Modernists. Since they acknowledge not even a divinely established teaching office, naturally do not admit the privilege of infallibility was granted this office. The doctrinal or dogmatic authority which they themselves grant the Church's ruler means only this: that these rulers are to be watchfully alert for what may, at any given period, be going on in the Christian consciousness, so that they may give it apt formulation. Of course, the formula must be modified as soon as they are no longer correspond with the new mentality and the evolution of religious consciousness. In fact, the modern system, the duty of doctrinal authority is not to see to it that there is never any change in the believing or in the understanding of the absolute and immutable truth preached from the beginning by the apostles. This authority is rather to take care that it be maintained, which may even seem best adapted to the cultural level of each generation. Boy, there's the whole roots of Novosordoism right there, isn't it? It all started with this idea, let's just change stuff. The first step in the treatment to follow will be a demonstration of the fact of infallibility. Next in order will be a study of its object or extent, and finally an investigation into its nature. The special discussion of the subject of infallibility fits more conveniently into the second section of this treatise. Suffice it to mention here, in anticipation of the fuller discussion, that the subject is both the body of the Church's rulers together with its head, in other words, the Roman Catholic College of Bishops, or body, and the supreme ruler of the whole Church, the Roman Pontiff. 3. The fact of infallibility. Proposition. When the teaching office of the Church hands down decisions on matters of faith and moral in such a way as to require of every one full and absolute assent, it is infallible. This is a dogma of faith. The teaching office of the Church, or as they say, the teaching Church, is made up of those to whom God entrusted the right and the duty to teach the Christian religion authoritatively, the word in matters of faith and morals in such a way as to require of everyone full and absolute assent, are included in the proposition because, according to Catholic teaching, the Church's rulers are infallible not in any way and every exercise of their teaching power, but only when, using all the fullness of their authority, implying possessing a fullness of authority, they clearly intend to bind everyone to absolute assent, or, as common parlance puts it, when they define something in matters pertaining to the Christian religion. That is why all theologians distinguish in dogmatic decrees of the councils or of the popes between those things set forth therein by way of definition and those used simply by way of illustration or argumentation. For the intention of binding all affects only the definition and not the historical observations, reasons for the definition, and so forth. And if in some particular instance the intention of giving a definitive decision were not made sufficiently clear, then no one would be held by virtue of such definitions to give the assent of faith. A doubtful law is no law at all. It is full of doubtful laws, isn't it? You know, do this except when people don't feel like doing it kind of stuff, you know? Although this proposition has never been defined in the precise form which it is here stated, it is a dogma of faith by reason of the universal teaching of the Church. Moreover, the Vatican Council did define that the Roman Pontiff enjoys that infallibility with which the divine Redeemer wished his Church to be equipped in defining a doctrine of faith or morals. Proof. 1. From the promises of Christ. A. Christ said to the apostles in the Last Supper discourse, "And I will ask the Father, and he will grant you another advocate to be with you for all time to come, the Spirit of truth. He will make his permanent stay with you and in you. But the Advocate, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, will teach you all things and refresh your memory of everything I have told you. But when he, the Spirit of truth, has come, he will conduct you through the whole range of truth." John 16:13. Then, after his resurrection, he added, "You shall be baptized with the Holy Spirit not many days hence. You shall receive power when the Holy Spirit comes upon you, and you shall be my witnesses in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria and even to the very ends of the earth." Two things are promised in these texts. The Holy Spirit, as the teacher of truth, A, will come upon the apostles to imbue them with an exceedingly rich knowledge of the Christian religion. B, he will remain with them forever. The purpose and result of both these aids is that the apostles will preach Christ's religion pure and unabridged, even to the very ends of the earth. The former promise has in view especially the first communication of the Christian religion, and furthermore, at least in the strict and full sense, refers to the apostles alone. The latter promise, which is concerned more directly with the practice and preservation of this religion, cannot, in view of the words themselves and of the purpose intended, be limited to the apostles personally, but embraces the apostolic college, or body as it may sometimes be, as it is to continue forever. But if the Holy Spirit is to remain with the successors of the apostles forever, and it is to be in them that they be witnesses of Christ to the ends of the earth, he will doubtless keep them from error when they define Christian doctrine. For would they really be witnesses of Christ if they corrupted his doctrine in even one point and unjustifiably demanded assent of all to a falsehood? Well, we'll cut off number 30 right here.